easel. I'm Cinnamon, I'm your art Sherpa, and today we're going to paint the sun, moon, and stars, which is this fantastic sunflower painting, all inspired by Van Gogh. So hopefully Van Gogh will come join us in the studio today and give us lots of inspiration for his brushstroke. This is a 2-hoot difficulty, but a beginner can still really do it. It's a really fun journey for a new artist because somewhere in this painting you're going to find your brushstroke, and that's nearly magical. And I really hope that I get to hear from you and you tell me what that was like. Now, what I'm going to start with is a 16 by 20 blank canvas. If you watch my doodle, you'll remember that we talked about these and how you can get these anywhere. We're going to paint these on the horizontal. I have my cup of economically priced brushes, and they're right in the 3/4 inch, half-inch range, few details, and that's really all we're going to need for this painting. Paper towels, cup of water, and of course paint. Join me over at our brand new palette cam and we'll put out our paint. Today we're going to be using some CAD medium, and we're going to use, and I love this, some burnt sienna. And you're like, why does it got to be burnt? Well, they got raw sienna and then they burn some sienna, and so then we get to benefit from that. Some Naphthol Crimson. Today I'm using Matisse paints, Matisse structure paints, which I really like. You can get those at Jerry's Artorama. I'm going to put up some Phthalo Blue. Believe you me, there's going to be a lot of that. Get a nice amount of that on the palette there. You can see I put a little more of the phthalo. Another really important color that I'm going to put, and I'm going to put it close to the yellow because sometimes for new eyes it's hard to tell the phthalo green. Ooh, that made some nice little boy noises there. Woohoo! And we're going to get some titanium white. What's going to shock you if you're new to the art store is how many types of white and how many types of black there are. And I'm going to do some of the Master's Touch, just plain permanent black. You can find permanent black in any of the, but just a little bit of that. I just need a tiny amount of that here and there, and we're not going to use too much black. I don't really like to use a lot of black in my painting. All right, the other and most important thing I need is I need a little cup of something to stay hydrated, to keep my well-being going. No judgment, any cup of whatever you need, from hot cocoa to Moscato, is perfectly okay in the art studio. You're going to hear my kids popping off from time to time, but they're being supervised, so no worries. I'm going to start this painting out with my 1/2-inch angle brush. 1/2-inch angle brush does a couple of things. If you go up and down on the flat, it gives you a 1/2-inch wide stroke. If you paint on this bottom edge right here, it's going to give you a line. The trick to getting that line is starting each brush stroke with these short bristles and letting the long bristles finish. So if I'm making a downward stroke, well, the short bristles begin that stroke, losing my happy hat here, my La La Loopsy hat. And I'm going to go ahead and get my brush wet, and I'm going to grab, oh, you know what? I forgot my yellow ochre. Let's put that back on the palette. We want yellow ochre. You can see that on the palette there. Never forget your yellow ochre. It's a very, very important color to just about everything we do. All right. Now I'm going to grab a little bit of my bright CAD yellow. Sometimes I like to look at this. This is the Grey Poupon, and this is the French's mustard. And if you just said mustard to a large class of people, you could always tell who had Grey Poupon and who had French's mustard in their home. And we're going to come in the upper right-hand corner up here, and we're going to just make a nice little C. I'm going to do this on the edge of my brush, short bristles starting the stroke, long bristles finishing, and that's how I get it. Any general C though is going to be absolutely fine for what you're doing. And then I'm going to place one little dot, two little dots, three little dots, all along the moon. This is about, oh gosh, the farthest one out is about 7 inches from the edge here. And then I'm going to come to this outside upper left-hand edge and make a little dot. I'm going to come down here into the halfway point and make another little dot and make another little dot. Then I'm going to rinse out my brush really well and wipe it on the paper towel. Oh, I need one more little dot though. One more little dot down here. Woo! So far you should be able to handle the pressure of little tiny dots. So all you're doing is little tiny dots. They're not difficult. They're pretty easy. Go ahead and give your brush a good rinse. Now we're going to do something kind of crazy. We're going to make a very dark brown. We're going to make a chocolate brown. And the crazy way we're going to make a dark chocolate brown, you think, oh, take the black and mix it to the brown, but we're not. We're going to take a little bit of our phthalo blue and mix it into our sienna. And we're going to mix it tiny amounts like cayenne pepper, and we're going to get this deep chocolate brown. I'm going to get that on my brush. I'm going to take my ruler, and along my diagonal edge, I'm going to start it about 3 inches in, right? I'm going to make a nice diagonal from point to point, and I'm going to make about a 10-inch little line along my ruler. Just 10 inches. Little line along my ruler. You can draw a straight line, that's not a problem. And then I'm going to make a football. That's how I'm going to get the seed pod for this fabulous sunflower, is I'm going to make this fabulous little football shape. Some people like to associate it with like a leaf shape. Depends on how football season is going, I suppose. So we come along here. Oh, it's a fabulous little football. Excellent. So we've got our football. Go ahead and take your paint and paint your football in. Now something I want you to look for here when you're painting the canvas, all of the white of the canvas should be disappearing. If you're getting this, like this, and you're painting and it's just not covering, I'm seeing that right there. What's happening is either your brush is broken or your paint is broken. It's never you. That's our rule here. Painting is easy, and if it's not easy, teach your brush or paint is broken. In this particular case, it's not enough paint on the brush. And sometimes it's not enough moisture in the paint. Acrylic paint can take up to about a 30% water mixture or medium dilution. So if you're using a medium to dilute or you're using water, you can take it up to about 30%. I like to just put a little bit of moisture in there so you get a good flow. I like to think of it as like flowing on like, yay, flowing on like olive oil. So if you were having that happen, you get a little moisture on your brush, you get right back into your paint, and you'd go right in there. You want good coverage. You want all of that white to be disappearing right into that. Now my brown's getting a little light again, so I'll get a little blue, mix it in there. If you mix too much blue in your sienna, you get kind of a gray and you don't get the deep chocolate that we're trying to get to. So it's just something to think about. Get that nice and covered. I want that deep, deep color. Deep, deep color. Ooh, that's just coming out lovely. Paint that all in. All the white of the canvas is disappearing. Now sometimes, again, sometimes when you're painting the canvas, you'll find that the canvas almost feels like it's resisting your paint. There are certainly, definitely qualities of canvas in the world. When I want to get a nice clean edge, I paint on the edge, bottom edge of my brush. Bottom edge of my brush, short bristles beginning that stroke, long bristles finishing. I can even come on the flat and let the outer bristles splay out and make a nice clean edge. A lot of it in painting, pretty much most of it in painting, is not as much what we consider to be talent as it is a skill set. Just a really simple, learnable skill set. And we're going to continually learn those skill sets. In my experience, it's about 5 to 10 paintings for people if they come from a place of absolutely zero experience to really get a good tool set going so they can really start painting. Hopefully you're going to get to meet a bunch of people who've had that experience soon, and they'll talk to you about how easy and fun that is. All right, we're going to come in here and we're going to do a nice half circle. I'm going to move my canvas a little bit forward. Now if I looked at my painting over here, I see I've got about 5 inches up, so I just come from the diagonal, and about 5 inches up I make a little dot. That's good. This isn't precision. And I'm going to just make a nice little circle. This is my little round seed pod that's going to be down here. My nice little round seed pod. Right? How wonderful is that? Painting that in, making sure all the white's disappearing. At this point, the directionality of your brush strokes is not that important. Right now, learning to get a nice even thickness of paint to cover your canvas is important, and trying not to over thicken your paint is important. We'll talk about directionality in this painting a little bit later, but right now it can just be anything. Little tip or trick, you can paint the edges of these. You can just paint these edges right up. And what's nice about this is, while you can always frame them, and I highly recommend framing, 16 by 20, there's a lot of really reasonable framing options. But if you just are feeling very creative and prolific and you're not ready to frame every single thing that you do, if you paint the edges like I showed you right there, you get what's called a gallery wrap edge, where the paint goes around the edge. And since the staples are on the back of this canvas, you don't then have to frame it if you don't feel like it. All right, let's give our brush a good wash. Give our brush a nice good wash. Wipe that on our nice paper towel to clean that off, make sure our pigment's off. And we're going to do the fun work of putting in our background. And our background is super easy. Our background is a little bit of red mixed into our phthalo. And if you guys remember, red and blue make purple, but a small amount of red into the phthalo makes a very deep nighttime indigo kind of sky color. And we're going to paint in the whole rest of this canvas with this dark, dark blue. Now, just generally paint around your moon. You just need to know where it is. We come back and we really define this and paint this and clean this up later. What happens to new artists, pretty much most of them, is there is, a terrible, terrible, ugly stage in paintings. And that's everybody. You go on YouTube here and look around at some of these fabulous artists that are sharing their artwork. There's just a stage in everybody's paintings where, wow, you really got to have faith. If you don't know how art works, it's going to work out. So I can come here and I can paint this edge, paint it, paint it, paint it, paint it, paint it, paint it. I'd love for you guys to get on my Facebook page and share your results, how it came out for you, how it worked out for you. If you have questions, I'm incredibly happy to answer those questions. You know, I'm happy to help you troubleshoot, and happy to help you find whatever's going on, or even give you encouragement, let you know what you did right. It's really easy for artists to know what they did wrong. Much harder for them to know what they did right. All right, let's just take a minute, speed up. We're going to speed up our film and play a little music. Wow, painting really fast is really hard, especially on time lapse. Now, a couple of things. Hopefully you just relaxed and allowed yourself just to paint this in. All paintings have kind of this underpainting stage, and this is definitely part of that. We're going to have to now do our work to kind of open our heart so we can access our art and get to our brush stroke. But before we can do that, this needs to be dry. In acrylic painting, drying time is almost as important as painting time, because things have to be wet on wet to work, or they need to be on the dry to work. And on this particular case, I need this to be dry. So I'm going to call my painting assistant, my 3-year-old son Spider, to come in here and manage the hair dryer. So give us a little movie magic second to get that set up, and we'll bring Spider in to dry. 1, 2, 3, say hi! Hi! It's really important that we include all the members of our family into our art projects, because art is just got to be a part of our whole lives. So little Spider here, who's 3, is going to help Mommy by drying the canvas, because Mommy doesn't want to wait for the canvas to dry. Can we turn those buttons on? Ooh, dry it! Go Spider, go! Go Spider, go! Woo! I gotta Alright, come on, here we go. Right. Again? Okay, can you say, whoop. Alright, let's put it back in its hole. Put it back. We always got to put our studio equipment back. Can you say bye to everyone and tell them to paint? Say bye.
Bye.
Should they paint? Should they paint a lot? Do you paint a lot? All right, give me a hug. I love you. Okay. It's important when we're being creative to have the support of the people around us. But, you know, sometimes you've got to paint anyways, even if they don't get it. Because sometimes saying to people, I'm an artist, is the same as saying I'm an alien from outer space. They just don't really know how to relate to it. So you've got to be able to just be like, you know who you are and be true to that. Speaking of, let's get it back over to the palette and add some paint, because I know we went through some. I'm going to add some more phthalo because I'm going to need it over here, right there. I'm going to rinse out my brush, and now begins the Van Gogh brush stroke once we mix our color. So, all right, we're rinsing the brush out, pushing on the bottom of the cup, drying on the paper towel. What I'm going to mix is my next color of blue. So I'm going to add just a small amount of white over to my blue. Going to just mix in a small amount here. I always mix from the edge of my paint. I like to mix from the edge of my paint. The reason being is that if I go from the centers, then I just lose all the paint and it gets to be real expensive and kind of a waste of my money. So once I've got that nice kind of, not as dark as the blue here, but just a shade or two lighter, I'm going to start the brush stroke. And here's the thing, the brush stroke can be on the wide of the brush, it can be on the edge of the brush. Some people like to switch and do a teeny tiny little square brush. Here's the deal. This is going to be the whole deal on brush stroke. Some of you are very organized, tidy little people who have lists of things to do, and you take a lot of flack for that. I know perfectionists take the worst flack from everyone because we just all feel like we have to live up to it. But here's the deal. You have got to be you, right? So if you're an orderly person and you're neat, regardless of how I'm doing my brush stroke, you still have to be in your own painting. So your brush stroke needs to be comfortable to you. It needs to be relaxed to you. It needs to benefit you. And it's not going to be if you're trying to be something that you're not. Trying to be a fake at anything is never going to work out. So whatever you are, it's a feature. It's the best thing about you, be it especially in your painting. If you're a free spirit, maybe a little bit crazy, you wear funny hats, you might have a more expressive brush stroke. One is not better than the other. All right, so we're going to do our brush stroke, and our brush stroke is I'm on the edge of my brush and I'm coming around my objects in short, rounded strokes. There's spaces left between the strokes, and I like to think of it as like a little weave. Or my very favorite analogy is that these stars and these objects, right? Well, it's as if somebody plunked little pebbles in a pond, and these are the radiating circles coming out. Now when I've got those in, I'm going to make a little detour. I'm going to come down by my little half circle here. You see right down here. And I'm going to get my little swirl in because I like my little gust of wind. And how I do that is I'm just going to come in and lay that in with this nice blue here. Woo! Just a little swirl. Any swirl, your swirl, my swirl, it's all perfectly good swirl. I like to widen it at the end so I know where it is. I sort of paint it in a little bit against its background. I strengthen it is what I like to say, but really what I'm saying is I'm just adding more paint so I have a better idea of where it is. Alright, so I know where that is now. So especially when I'm going around with my Van Gogh inspired little brush strokes. And wouldn't he be super pleased that we're all doing this today? Wouldn't he just be amused that people love his work? His is the most purchased print online by a lot. For a man that didn't sell anything when he was alive, boy, we sure love him a lot now. So that must be very nice to look down and see all that appreciation. So we'll send him light and love wherever he's at. And we'll ask to be inspired and find our brush stroke today. See, so I'm just kind of coming around here. The shape of the swirl is inspiring my brush stroke. And again, some of you will have very neat and tidy little strokes. They'll just be so organized. I've seen that. I have pictures on my Facebook page of people who have done that. Love it. There's no wrong way to do this. The only wrong thing is to not take time to do it. To not give yourself the time to be creative. To not give yourself the permission to be creative. And to criticize the creativity that you're participating in. It's the only mistake you can make. It's being unkind to yourself. We're going to come around here, around these stars, weaving our little first layer of brush stroke. See those little openings and how they kind of go around, just like those pebbles in the water. Woo! Just coming along down. Now we're going to have petals and a lot of nonsense over this, but it's still important to get it painted in. Paintings are about layers. Ooh, I like that. I want that to really feel like there's the wind there. And I'm going to come around my little sunflower and I'm going to make some little brush strokes around my sunflower. This is just really the most fun to do. So you should have something like that. Now, again, maybe it's teeny tiny little strokes. Maybe it's crazy, crazy strokes. What you don't want is just like solid circles around your stars. You want to break those up. And you want to try to relax into this. If you need a deep breath, take one whenever you need it. All right, next color, palette cam. So we're going to mix a much lighter color here. A nice light blue. And put a nice light blue up here. And we're going to come back, and not where we put our first brush strokes by any means, right? Not where we put those. We're going to start putting these lighter blue brush strokes. We're going to start putting these just nice light blue ones. Weaving it in. It's a basket. The color weaves in. There's a lot of layers on this sky, so you might as well just relax into it. Thus the two-hootiness of the painting. It's a lot of fun, but it takes a little of your hoots. It takes a little hoot to paint it. So, woo! How you doing back there? Come on to our swirl. So what you want to do is you want to definitely get this brush stroke going into your swirl. I'm coming along. I want to lighten this up a lot. This is the wind that has come through our sunflower field that's picking up leaves and picking up all kinds of debris. And that's how that would look like to us. So that's how we're painting that in. We're going to lighten it up a lot as we're painting. But we know where it is now. I like to make sure it's wider at the bottom and narrowing at the top to give you guys an idea. It's 3.5 inches at the bottom, but yours could be 4, yours could be 3. Just wider when you need to. Make some more paint. Come around, painting, painting, painting. Ooh. One thing I have to say I love about the 3 cameras, I don't have to be painting at some crazy angle all the time, which is nice. Getting this in. By now you should start to see some of the energy of this amazing sky. It should be picking up some of your personality. If you don't see it, if you're not seeing your personality in your painting, run it by your friends. They will validate that it's there. That's what they're for. Keep you honest. Keep you true. If you're a very young little brush, you hang in with me. We're going to have a lot of fun doing this. Ooh, look at that right there. So we've got that next layer, right? And so now we're going to keep layering and we're going to keep layering. You should start to feel the painting coming together. If you're from homeschool and you're joining us and you're doing this painting, this should be a really neat experience for you to sort of experience what it was like to be Mr. Van Gogh. It's a really interesting artist, one of the most interesting artists on the planet. And every couple of years, new PhD candidates publish new papers that tell us new things about him, that they learned something new. So he's definitely one of those artists that you can get into and learn a lot about and find something in his life that you can relate to, especially if you're a teenager. He's one of those great artists to get into. All right, next color that we're going to do, and I like to throw this in, is a little bit of turquoise. Ooh, yeah. You know, if you hate turquoise, you can throw in a purple. You know, it's certainly your painting. I take the phthalo green and I pull some out, and then I grab a little bit of my blue and I mix some in there. So I've got my phthalo green and my blue. And then I come over to my white and I very carefully add these colors in. And you're going to see that that's just a really nice turquoise. You want it a little more green, you can green your turquoise up. Turquoise comes in a few ranges of shades. I just like to put it in there. And I'm going to come and I'm going to work my turquoise into the sky. Now you'll see even my moon will disappear, but I'm going to come back in and put a lot of my moon back. Every time I teach the sky, every time I paint the sky, it's a little bit different. It just really, like, my mood affects it, how I'm interacting with the world. I'm gonna put just a little of this turquoise in my swirl. You know, everything affects it. So, you know, this is something that you can do once in your studio and then come back and do again, and you'll get something different out of it every time. A different color scheme, a different feeling. I have students, they'll come paint one of the Van Gogh pieces and maybe they'll come paint a Van Gogh city, and every time they do it, they're having a different experience. And this just isn't about production. Artwork is not about a product, actually. It's about a process. It's about your process. How's your process today? How are you today? That's what it's really about. How are you today? Because no matter how you are, here's a thought, no matter how you are, if you can get to the easel, if you can get to your painting and you can give yourself some of that time, you're going to come out the other side of this feeling better about whatever it is. It really helps process that out. That's why I always say art's a process, not a product. I mean, the things that come out during the painting are amazing, and it's nice that I get something pretty at the end, but it's really the experience that I'm having that makes it for me. It makes it worthwhile for me. You know. Alright, so I've got that nice little turquoise there, and rinse out. Rinsing out, rinsing out, rinsing out. If your sky has gotten a little light, you can come back in with dark, dark, dark sky. If it's exactly how you like it, you can leave it alone. I've seen people put in pink and stuff. That looks really, really good. Right now I'm going to take some just white and tint it with just the tiniest amount of blue, so it's just slightly off white with the blue. And I'm going to come around just my stars. What I'm going to do is I'm going to focus around my stars, and I'm going to start creating that radiating light out from the stars. So imagine being in Saint Remy with Van Gogh, looking out from the window and being a little more medicated than you'd like to be, seeing that night sky and feeling the like buzzing in your head, and trying to represent how you felt about that sky later. And that's kind of what happened there. So let's ask him to join us and help inspire us in our little studios. We're going to come in with some of the light colors here, and just around the little stars, just around them, I'm going to paint out a little bit. Hopefully you can see that. I'm going to paint out a little bit of this white. Oh, I hope you can see this. A little bit of this white. Hopefully the third cam is really bringing it home. I'm going to come around my moon. Now around my moon, I'm going to kind of center it coming down like it's reflecting in water. And then around this little star, we're going to be coming back with some yellow and sort of fixing these little spots up. Hopefully when we gotta do our hair drying in a minute, Spider will come back and see us. You know, but he's 3, so there's no telling. Could be nap time by now. Alright, now the swirl. This is wind, so I'm really going to lighten the swirl up right now, and I'm going to do that by just putting in a large amount, a brave amount of this white right into my little swirl. I'm painting on the wide of my brush to get this wider stroke, and also my pressure is very light. The pressure of my brush is a very light pressure. It's almost as if this canvas has a sunburn. And I'm just very gently pushing the brush over the surface of the canvas so as not to hurt it or aggravate it. So I've got this nice little wonderful gust of wind coming here. It's lightening up. Nice light pressure to add some white to that. All right. So now I've got that, and that started to lighten up, and now I get to put in the golds and the reds and the oranges, and those are exciting colors. They are a little art education point. They're contrasts. So whenever you see something on the color wheel and it's in an opposite location on the color wheel, right, that makes it a contrasting color, and if you mix them together you get some variation of a zombie gray or brown, which is fantastic for a zombie painting. Not so great in all the other paintings, but if you paint them next to each other, they pop. It's actually part of color theory. All those crazy paintings you see in the museum, it's like 2 colors. That's what actually a lot of that is about, is which color is pulling towards you and which color is pushing away, and how those colors relate to each other. Contrasts really are shocking next to each other, and some of my favorite paintings are painted in contrast. So we're going to do that here, and the first color we're going to get just our yellow ochre. Just our yellow ochre. We're not even going to mix anything into it. We're going to kind of smooth it around here. You can see in the palette cam, get it a little thinned out. I'm going to come in, I'm going to see right here, I'm going to paint in my moon a little bit better. I'm going to use the short bristles first and let this, all right, sometimes you'll get a drip, just move the drip away. It's acrylic painting, we don't get too stressed about these things. I'm going to dab my painting off on the paper towel. If you're hating this big brush for the moon, go ahead and switch to a small brush. Don't be stressed out about it. You know, don't be weird about it. It's just not a problem. All right, get some more of that. And then we're gonna come in and dust around our little stars with a little bit of this color. This nice clay poupon mustard color, and the paint's a little wet, so it's gonna mix on the canvas. Let it do that. Even if you're the neat person, experiment with letting some things just happen. You know, some things just need to happen. And that's a good thing. Some things just need to happen. Ooh, I got a little crazy with the gold there. That's okay, happens every day. You just see what comes out. You know, you have a plan and then you also just relax into it. So see, that's starting to put that gold into the painting and put that vibrancy into the painting. I might add a little bit of this to my swirl. Ooh. Some ferociousness happening in the background there. my youngest likes to play monster, so that's what we get sometimes. All right, a little bit in the nice slight pressure. Now we've moved on to, this is beyond a sunburn. It's a cat that's just had a bath, and we don't want to anger that cat. That's how light we put on that gold dusting. Rinsing out the brush. I'm gonna take a second and just hair dry my moon here. All right, don't tell my painting assistant. He takes these things very seriously. He's very serious about his jobs. You know, if you have a 3-year-old at home, but you know how serious they can be about their jobs. All right, take our 1/2-inch angle brush, rinse, 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 rinse. Okay, and I'm gonna get just a little bit of my yellow. I'm gonna grab some of my white over here and I'm gonna bring it over my yellow and I'm gonna add some white to it. If you're painting with one of the less expensive paints, one of the student grade paints, one of the things that you may want to do is add white sometimes, the lighter colors, because the pigments can be thin, the binders can be thin, and the white will often have more in it and will help extend or improve that pigmentation. So let's do that. Get the hat back on. All right. No, she says, not having none of it. All right, little moon there. I'm gonna add some of this to my stars, if you can see that. A little brightening up to the stars, another little layer. And I'm gonna take, this, just a little bit of this color. A little more white to it. Just a little more white to it. Yellow and white mixture. I'm gonna put that around our stars. Just a little bit here and there. Star. Have a little fun traveling around your stars with the light. Now I don't take this all the way into the blue. This just radiates, this is just the light emanating from my stars. So they only come out a little bit, a couple inches into my field of blue. You do this when we go to do Van Gogh's actual Starry Night. You're going to have an easy time doing it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be enjoyable. you like it. Hopefully, this new method of filming that we're doing will make it significantly easier. I'm going to put a little of this yellow in here. A little bit. We're going to come back last step with a lot of white on our little win, so we'll be knocking that back. Again, that's that light, angry, wet cat pressure. Now, my last color that I kind of want to do here is I'm going to make some orange. And I'm going to make some orange by taking a little bit of my red over to my yellow and mixing it. I don't take the yellow over to my red because it would just take all of the yellow to change the red. It takes very little of the red to change the yellow. Gets away from you, just get it back. You know, if you ever get a color you don't like, here's a tip. Stop painting with it. It's amazing how often you'll see people that get a color they don't like.
Your mic's off.
That background noise is my husband and our audiovisual guy who did not turn on my mic. See? When and all else, blame somebody else. All right. So this is all in now. I got our nice little orange. I'm going to rinse out my brush really well. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with some white and I'm going to brighten my little swirl so that when it goes off it's more woo. And I find that sound effects actually help, so when you're painting something, if it looks like it should make a noise, like if it looks like a slide, and it looks like you would go wee, then my suggestion to you is that you just go ahead and go with and go wee. So let's do the wee. Let's grab our white paint. Let's grab our white. I'm looking for a little clean spot of white. The white's getting a little thing. And I'm going to come in here. Ooh, angry cat pressure though. I'm going to come in with my white. Very light pressure. Very light. And I'm going to knock my swirl back. So now I'm going to restock my palette. Now I'm ready to get my petals in and get my seed pods in and restock my palette. And sometimes when you're painting, you've got paint management, which is how everything works on the palette. What I want you to think about is, like, just pay attention. If it's getting to be difficult, like if you're just finding it so hard to get a new spot of paint, then go ahead and put some new paint out. But realize that there's always a little space to mix. So don't just be like throwing out palette papers or polystyrene plates every 2 seconds. You know, paint management, it's one of those artist skills that we develop along the way. It's a goal, so don't be hard on yourselves. This is the one place during the week that you should really make every effort to be forgiving, nice, loving, and kind to yourself. All right, new paint. So I'm going to put some new white out because I'm having a little trouble getting to my white. I'm going to put it over here by my black and my brown. And I'm going to put out a little bit of red. I'm okay with my yellow and my gold. I just know what's coming. I may even at some point need more white than that, but that should be enough to get in my petals. Now the petals. So the petals are, and this is the case, painting is easy and either the brush or the paint or the canvas needs to do the work. And in this case, it's going to be the brush is going to do the work. I'm going to create the petals using the shape of this brush. The brush is going to do the whole thing. I'm going to do them in white first, and I'm going to come and glaze them later with their colors. And that's how I get that technique. So I want you to remember that the short bristles are the beginning of the stroke. So if I'm making little upward petals, then those short bristles will face up. Or if I'm making little downward petals, the bristles will face down. I'm going to load up my brush with some white paint. It's fun to do. Load, 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 load. And I'm going to come up here and I'm going to plant my brush into the thing and come up and make this nice little petal. And I'll come here and make a little petal. Get a little more white paint. I'll make a nice little petal right here. Now I like to sort of change the directions of my petals. I don't like them all to face the same way all the time. And I'm not, sometimes there's a tendency to just want to paint little individual like petals every time and work it all out. But the truth is that, oh, nature is a hot mess. Nature is a hot mess, and it's going to want to put these petals all over the place. You put these petals all over the place. So I'm going to put another nice little big little petal right here. I think the next one needs to curve and sort of be blown. If you go to Whole Foods, if you're blessed enough to do that, if you're blessed enough to go to Whole Foods and have the Whole Foods experience, you'll know they had those gorgeous multicolored sunflowers. They have these gorgeous multicolored sunflowers. And this is what inspired those. Actually, I have to credit my mother-in-law, Linda, for this painting. She'd come to me to help her with a birthday gift for a dear friend of hers who loved Van Gogh and loved sunflowers. And she's like, I need some combo of that. And I just thought, well, that probably goes together really well. And then it turned into this fabulous painting that I'm now teaching you. So we have to send her light and love and say thank you. All right. On goes the hat. Oh, it's on now. I've got it on. I feel it planted. Okay. So I'm going to come and I'm going to curve that little petal and kind of like a little S curve. Maybe this one will have a nice little back curve. Because these sunflowers, these Whole Foods, all organic, namaste flowers, you know, they've got crazy little leaves because they are in nature intended, even though they might be dyed. They have these just glorious, crazy petals. I'm going to come here at the corner and I'm going to curve me a little petal right off. Now I try to make my petals a little thicker at the base. Right? And then thinner at the, if I need to put a little extra petal in there, I'm trying not to leave big blue gaps at the pod. You can let them cross in front of each other. They can do that. Now I'll do one more down here like this. And then, once we get into this space, there's another little one. Our little petal's gonna go up. And there's one that comes down. Maybe another one that comes down. And these start to do a variance of going down and coming up. That's what they start to do. And then through here, they're all sort of up. They all start to go up. And then as we come around here, they start to make the trip back this way. And we'll just put these, oh, I covered right in front of my star, I got a little excited there. You know, that's just something that'll happen. As Mr. Bob Ross used to say, there's no mistakes, only happy accidents. Now we've invoked the Bob, so we know good things are going to happen in our studio. Anytime you invoke Bob Ross, only good happy stuff can happen to you in the studio. Yay, Bob. For those of you who aren't really sure about who Bob Ross is, he's the man with the fro on PBS for about 1,000,000 years, reminding people that art should be an everyday part of our lives. And art should be an everyday part of our lives. I mean, we've tried owning everything. That didn't really make anybody happy. You can have all the biggest stuff in the world. I mean, it's wonderful to have, but it's not what contributes to the happiness, well-being bucket that exists in our heart and souls. So art and poetry and music and expression, those are the things that at the end of the day make us feel like we've contributed something really meaningful in our world. And that's really important. It's great to have beautiful stuff in your kitchen, but it's even better to look up at that painting in the kitchen and know you made it, and everybody who comes in sees it and sees you in it, and it brings joy into your world. And it's the kind of thing that it doesn't cost a lot of money, but it gives a lot back, and those are special things. All right. I'm gonna come here with our little petal up. Ooh. Get some crazy little petals going. We like to have some crazy petals on Mr. Downward Sunflower. I like to take one and curve it down into the seed pod here. Today maybe I'll do two. Just fun to do. And start some upward petals here. Yeah, I love my upward petals. I'm gonna even come back with a cross back petal. However you want to do them. You know, you just want to have a great little collection of happy petals. Because they should be just creative. Then I'm going to come about here. I'm going to make a little dot. Just got to make a decision. And my decision was, if you have your ruler and you're feeling very like, I've got to know exactly what, it was 8 over and 4 up. But sometimes in art, it's just about making a decision and going with it. I'm going to make the bell, and the bell comes around and goes flare out. And the bell comes and flares out. And then I'll just finish this off. Let's finish that off. Finish out the bell. So now I've got that. I'm going to rinse my brush. I'm going to go into my collection of fabulous little brushes. And what I'm going to say is I've got a number 6 little square here. So number 6 little square. You know, some variance in size is okay, but you want something fairly small. This is about 1/4 of an inch wide, and that's what I'm going to use. And I'm going to come and I'm going to get my black and mix it into my brown. I know. I said don't do it, but here we go. And I'm going to mix some of that up. And I'm going to make little dots on my seed pod of these dark little seeds that are in my black and brown. And they're going to be on the outside edges here. I'm going to even have some of them be here. We're letting our white dry there while we're putting in our little seed pods. Sometimes we need our hair dryer, and sometimes we just paint somewhere else on the canvas. You never know how long the kids are going to nap, so you got to do time management. Or somebody's going to call with some drama. You got to figure out what you want to do here. Oh, happy little seed pods. I'm going to do the same down below on this seed pod. I'm going to come in a couple inches with little seed pods. Just this little dab. You know, you neat and orderly people will have very neat and orderly little seed pods. You free-spirited people will have free-spirited little seed pods. But we're gonna really appreciate each other's seed pods. Be supportive of the different ways we choose to paint seed pods. Alright, so the dark seed pod's in. Then I'm going to come in and get just the brown. I may need to put some more brown on my palette here. While I'm letting my little petals dry. Get my just the brown. gonna add a little layer of just the brown seed pods in. And now my madness with putting the blue and the brown together begins to make sense, because this brown just really pops now against that cool brown. I'm putting this little brown seed pod, I'm not taking it all the way back where I took like the black and brown seed pods. I'm pulling it more towards the center. We're coming up a couple inches. Go ahead and pull this brown really far to the center of your sunflower. It's really fun. Just enjoy yourself. Coloring is fun. I'm leaving the centers here and I'm leaving the center here kind of open, because I'm going to come in with some lighter colors. And I want to be able to weave my colors together. I'll put maybe a little bit more there. All right, got a nice area of that. Rinse my brush. Now I'm going to take my red over my brown. That's pretty exciting. Kind of brown up my red. I'm going to take some of that into my seed pod, but it's coming up further. Going up into the center and out here. Sort of weaving in. I'm not trying to paint these dots on the brown dots I painted before. I'm trying to put them in new space. For new space. The other thing I want you to do, I want you to break up patterns. Unless it has a very good reason, nature tries to break up patterns. If it gives you a pattern, it's messing with you just in general. I mean, just think about it. The animals that have a pattern, it's like, it looks like an eye, but it's not an eye. Mostly how we do camouflage is we're trying to break up patterns. So a goal for you, in spite of years of education that tells you to do pattern recognition, is to try to break up patterns as much as you can. Because sometimes you want to go dot, 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 dot. And that ruins the look of what you're doing. So if you can break up the pattern, you're going to get a result that you like even better, even more, to the degree that you can resist the temptation to do it. All right. I'm going to rinse out my brush because that was just too fun. It's just too enjoyable. And I'm going to grab my ochre. And a lot of this painting, a lot of this is going to be done with my ochre. A lot of it's going to be done with my ochre. Which is that Grey Poupon mustard. Very telling about the type of family one has, depending on mustards. Are you a 2 mustard family? Did you have French's and Grey Poupon? Or were you just a 1 mustard family? Only this on a hot dog. No deviation. And we're just really dabbing this. We're making this much stronger in the center here. And I'll even kind of imply a curve to this, because this is the beginning of the implied reflection from the moon on our seed pod. So just get in there, and you can order it up if you want to, or you can be random and crazy. But what you do want is the highlight of what you've got in the center. There you go. Fun stuff. Letting that brush do the work, make that seed shape, right? let the paint mix on the canvas. Looks pretty good. Now I'm gonna rinse this out and you're just like, oh my God, is there just any more seed pods that we need to do? Yeah, there's several more layers. Come on, let's do them. So I'm gonna rinse my brush. I'm going to come over and mix a very light yellow, a ducky yellow, a baby duckling yellow. All right, we all know what that looks like. Fuzzy yellow, duckling yellow. And I'm gonna come here. I'm gonna add some of my fuzzy duckling yellow to my seed pod. It's gonna add some fun color vibrance to that, right? And come up here and add some of my fuzzy duckling yellow. Ooh, fuzzy duckling yellow. Looks a little weird right now with the white flowers, but when you come in later with these yellow blossoms, it will really make a ton of sense to you. Now, I'm gonna rinse this out. And I've just really got a couple more things to do here. I'm gonna mix an orange. You guys remember about taking just a small amount of red over to the yellow. Make a nice, warm, hot orange. I'm gonna come in and pop a little of that up here. Pop a little of that hot orange up here. Again, focusing more on the center, where that reflection is. You know, now look at your seed pod. Is it lacking something? I feel like mine's lacking some of the brown. I'm gonna go in and hit some more brown here. Work those seed pods. Sometimes things are about layers. People are about layers. Uh-oh. Nap time is over. Oh, nap time. Shh. Dad's gonna get her. We hope Dad's gonna get her. Dad may not be getting her. All right. Just taking that, adding some to it, making sure it's got good texture. Little of the black and the brown again. Little of the black and the brown. Come back in. Work these seed pods. Really make them good. Get in there and find little spots for your color. Find little placement. I may have to Alright, now I'm going to take a little green, add a little yellow to it, and add a little of this white to it. And then I think I'm going to even add a little blue. I'm going to try to make kind of this, like, yeah, right here, this minty, almost this new 2014 Pantone Hemlock color. And I'm going to add this surprising color into my seed pod here and there. This is that kind of touch that's what we refer to as painterly, these little decisions that we make about how we're going to do things. All right. Woo! Through that. Now, the petals are the most fun, I think, in this painting to do after the sky, and they're a really good growth piece for you as an artist, because you have to kind of get control, but you also have to let go at the same time. And that's kind of a good lesson on the canvas, and it's a good lesson in life to have control, but also allow things to be and see how they work out. So we're going to do a marbled paint on our brush, and then we're going to let it mix on these petals, and we're going to keep getting new colors, and we're only going to rinse when it just becomes muddy and a problem. We don't like it anymore, and we want to brighten it back up again. So I'm going to start out, and my first color I'm going to do a little bit of my yellow mixed into my white. It's just yellow and white, and you can see here I've just kind of not mixed them all that perfectly. I'm going to come right up here to say this petal, and I'm going to just go over it, and I'm going to do this next petal, and maybe the next one I'm going to grab just pure white, do that to get a lighter color. And now I'm going to come over and get some of this orange that I've got mixed over here. And then I'm going to grab some of this ochre. I'm not rinsing. See, I'm not rinsing. I'm just grabbing a little color. And get a little red. Grab a little of this. Hit this petal. Oh, and there we go. There's that Whole Foods crazy. Get a little more red on the next one. Ooh. Now I'm going to grab some brown. Didn't see that coming, did you? And I'm going to do this petal. And now we're pretty much so far in the fall colors, right? Then I'm going to rinse a little bit. I'm going to add a little more white to my palette, so it's easy to do this. And I'm going to add a little more brown to my palette so that it's easy to do this. So I've got a good amount of red. All right, rinse, 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 rinse. And again, I'm going to grab just a titch of this yellow and come over and mix it into this white and get this very light, marbly color. And I'm going to come right here, tracing right over this petal, coloring it right in. And this next one. Now I'm going to wipe on the paper towel and I'm going to grab some just pure yellow. Just some pure yellow. All right, so I've got that just pure yellow. So yeah, it's just, I'm letting the paint do my work. And in art, wherever you can let your paint do your work, this starts to become the kind of hobby you can do all the time for relaxation on vacation. All right, now I'm gonna add a little bit of red in there in that mix. Get this little peeking petal here. And I'm gonna come right in front, create that implied leveling. And I'm gonna get a little more red now. Go back and get some white and yellow. Ooh, that's a pretty petal. I'm gonna try to coat that petal in there. I'm gonna grab some just gold. I haven't even rinsed yet. And the trick to this is, when do I need to rinse? I think I need to put some yellow on there. Just get some pure yellow. You can got a little spot of green in it, but I'm not gonna worry about it. Come back with some more yellow on that one. I just want to brighten that up. We're just getting it. Pretty good. Rinsing. I'm gonna start out with just some yellow, some white. And up we go. And grab some more just yellow. Up, up. This yellow right here. Grab a little of the red. Some more yellow. A little of the red. Maybe get some of these that red and yellow mixture. Wipe it off on the paper towel, grab some more yellow. Yeah, that's pretty nice. Grab some white. Haven't rinsed the brush in a while. Just enjoying that. Get some of this gold. Some of the gold. And get some of that red. Throw that in there. That's a surprise, right? Back to the just pure yellow. All right. So there you have the beginning of your garden. Your flower has color in it. You didn't work very hard for it and you just got to enjoy it. And there were surprises for you, and that's kind of fun in art where you can let there be surprises. Like you might not know that color's coming. You know, you can go in now and touch up any little white spots that you missed. You know, just come in and do a little touch up wherever you feel like you might need to. We'll come in with a little detail brush later. We get to go down here now. I'm going to come in with just straight yellow. And this one will be yellow. And you can make a decision, like your bottom one might be more yellow than your top. I'm going to put a little red in there. Alright, follow this really fun petal down. Get a little more red. Go right back into that pure yellow. Get some more of that just pure yellow. Maybe some white and some pure yellow. All right. So now your bottom sunflower is starting to take shape. And you just got to throw your bell in. My bell I do in yellows. And its first layer I do in a mixture of light ducky yellow, which we are familiar with. Mix a little of that. See, it's just fun. You just look for little spots on the canvas and you find a little spot. You mix it. Paint management. How am I coming? Short bristles facing down. Paint in. See? There it is. It's taking shape. And then I'm going to come in with another layer of just this pure yellow. I'm going to kind of make some more defining petals that are shorter than the light ones. And then I might add a little of my gold here. Just create some more petaling. And interestingly enough, I might even grab some brown and put it in. And that gives us some layers on those petals. Woo! It's starting to look like something. You're not having to visualize anymore. You're not having to use your inner eye as much. But it's good to use your inner eye. So it's a good exercise. I'm going to get my little brush out. My little square. And I'm going to put in my stems. And the reason I put in my stems last is I found that when I've had students, when they do this, they have just their own way of doing it. And sometimes they have a lot of petals that go down, and sometimes they're with me and their petals go up. And depending on how your petals go, you have to sort of make adjustments for your stems. There isn't a really one stem fits all sunflower solution here. So the solution is, if all of your petals are facing up, then you can do what we have right here and have this kind of cluster attachment that the sunflower has. But if all of your petals are fluffy and facing downward, and I really want you to look at that, are they down? Because I'm there with you, but I can't be there with you. So unless you want to like email me a picture, we're gonna have to just be psychic right now. If these are all down, then you're gonna have to just do stem simple, which is just the candy cane shape. There's my daughter, she's 9. Which is just the candy cane shape coming down, and then this candy cane shape coming down. Well, this is actually even more of a nest. It's gonna come kind of curve down like this. So I'm going to get my phthalo green, yay, phthalo green, and I'm going to mix a little brown into it, getting a very deep dark green. I'm going to come in with some brighter, more cheerful greens, and I'm going to come right here, I'm going to come right to this space, and I'm going to make a dot. I'm going to say my stem is here, and I know it's got a weave here, and I'm going to paint on my wide, and I'm going to come down, and I'm going to land my stem right here. Now here's something you need to know about your stem. Your stem will be the thickest at the bottom of the canvas where it's coming up, and the thinnest where it joins. Because plant life is ever diminishing. If you look at a tree, each branch is smaller than the branch it's attached to. The branches are smaller than the trunk, and eventually it's little twiggly bits. Everything gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and this is true of these particular stems too. So come in and just paint this in real well. Give this a nice coat so it's covering the canvas underneath. And then I'm gonna do the candy cane, which is gonna start right here. Bloop. And I know that I'm gonna want it to come up and come off the canvas here. It's just a decision that I made. You may make a different decision. It's your time, it's your painting. Absolutely welcome to just do it your own way. All right, so now I've got my 2 stems in. Now in my particular case, I have upward facing petals, so I'm going to do the full stem attachment. I'll make this dark green color again. I'm gonna come here. I'm going to make this little series of fun petals. Oh. Clustering off this way. All right, nice little collection of fun little so that's a nice big thing. So if you look at the bottom of the sunflower, it's got that big, crazy attachment. And I'm going to do a similar thing on my bell, just a little bit. There's some nice, just sort of Donna Dewberry style paint mixing on the canvas happening there. I'm going to paint on the bottom edge of my brush, which will give me a very thin line. Most of these brushes, if they're square or whatever, if you paint with a light pressure, sunburn pressure, angry wet cat pressure, you know, where you're like, I don't want to touch it, then you're going to get a thinner line. Pressure and the thickness and thinness of your lines are really directly connected. If you need to wipe off excess paint on your paper towel, go ahead and do that. I'm going to make a little leaf coming up this way this time. There, we got a little leaf this time. I just do a little thing every time. Alright, so we've got that. That's pretty awesome. Now I want the next things to really show on my paint. I don't want it to just disappear and blend in, so I'm going to dry my painting. We've lost my painting assistant Spider. He's having a little nap, so our star will not be able to appear again until he wakes up. But for the purposes of this, hair dryer. Uh-oh. 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 The 2-year-old wants a snack. Dad is saying no to some particular snack. It's never received well. I'm going to add a little yellow to my green. Uh-oh. Yeah, she says no. Add a little white to that. I'm going to get this very bright color right here. You see here? Very bright color. I'm going to come in. I'm going to add just little bits of this very bright color. You can see how I'm just dusting things. This again is that light pressure edge of the brush. Light pressure edge of the brush. You can always practice brush strokes on a piece of paper. If you're like not sure you're gonna get a nice thin line, when I teach camp, I always have the kids practice thick and thin lines. When my mom teaches, she always has the kids practice thick and thin lines. It makes a real difference if you're new to painting. Just get a piece of paper out and go, how thick can I make that line? How thin can I make that line? And you'll very quickly figure out the nuances of your tool. And you'll be like, wow, I can totally do this. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to add a little highlight to my green stem. And again, light pressure. Light sunburny pressure. I'm going to add on the right hand side of my leaf, I'm going to add a little bit of this light color. On the stem a titch. I'm going to come up, adding some highlight to the stem. Now I really feel like I need a third color, so I've got this green and brown over here that I've made. Alright, that we've made this nice green and brown. I'm going to just add some white to that. And that's going to give me an interesting third color. And I'm going to come in with this nice sort of soft gray-green color. Zombie green. And I didn't even do it with contrasting colors, so that's fun. And I'm going to add just a little bit more here and there to everything. A little bit to that. Rinse it off. I come back. Look at where I think it's just not strong, where it's just not working, and add a little bit of my dark green to it. Mix it up where I've got to mix it up. Make that stem look better. All right. Now, the last part is really just about you doing some fine tuning. I really want you to look deeply at your canvas, and then I want you to trust your gut. At this point, your right brain has sort of come online and it's starting to have opinions. You're hearing those opinions and you're having trouble trusting them. And this is that open your heart to access your art tool set we keep talking about, which is I want you to sort of trust your gut here. I want you to trust your heart. You're seeing things in your painting that are kind of tweaking at you. I want you to go ahead and fiddle with them just a little bit. There absolutely is a point where you can overwork a painting, but there's a lot of room between where you're at and overworking it. So let's adjust some of our petals. Let's make some arrangements around a canvas where we think things should be lighter or brighter or more defined till we're personally happy with it. So we'll call this our personal adjustment time. I'm going to take a little of my orange paint that I like so much. I'm going to come in and define some of my petals here. I'm going to come bottom, defining some petals. You don't have to do this everywhere. You can just do this some places. Just wherever you feel like you need some more thought or consideration to what you've got going. Maybe you're happy though. Maybe you're like, oh, it's done, it's good. And that's completely acceptable. You know, just look around, just see what it is that you're feeling. What are you feeling? What do you feel good about? What's bugging you? You know? What do you feel good about? What's bugging you? You can look at your life like that too. What are you feeling good about? What's bugging you? Make some adjustments. There's some adjustments. Put a little extra highlight on my seed pod with a much lighter ducky yellow because it just was bugging me. And that's the kind of thing that you'll see when you're painting on something. You'll be like, oh, I want to put some color here. I want to make some adjustments there. And that's important. It's an important part of the painting. All right. I am pretty happy with this. I hope you're looking at yours and you're pretty happy with yours. I am always available to you. You can post your pictures on my feed on Heart Party on Facebook. There should be a link on my channel here. And I'm happy to answer questions. You can show me what you're doing in your own lives, and I'm literally here to support and encourage you. I like to say I don't throw any shade. I am the sun, and I'm just here to shine light on the glory and wonder that is you. So feel confident and comfortable sharing what you're doing in your life right now with me. I hope your week is happy. I hope your week is fun. I hope you don't mind your cleanup. And I want to see you at this easel soon. Bye-bye.